Truth is fragile. Evidence can be dismantled and facts can be buried. But a powerful lie? A lie can outlive its creator, defy all evidence against it, and become so embedded in a culture that it reshapes reality itself. We often assume that truth eventually wins out, that clear evidence is the final arbiter of belief. History, however, shows us something far more complex. It reveals that some falsehoods are not just resistant to facts. They are engineered for survival. Why do some lies have such extraordinary lifespans, even when the truth is in plain sight? To understand this, we must look not just at the lie, but at the world it was born into. Consider Europe in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It was an era of unprecedented change and anxiety. Industrialization was upending traditional societies, nationalism was on the rise, and old empires felt the ground shifting beneath them. In this environment of instability, people were searching for simple explanations for complex problems. The stakes were immense: national identity, political power, and for some, the justification of long-held prejudices. It was a fertile ground not for truth, but for narratives that offered clarity, a sense of control, and a clear enemy. This is the world that gave birth to one of history's most destructive forgeries, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. The Protocols were first published in a Russian newspaper in 1903. This text purported to be the secret minutes of a meeting of Jewish leaders, outlining a detailed conspiracy to achieve global domination. The plan involved manipulating global economies, controlling the press, and orchestrating wars to install a new world order. To a discerning reader, even at the time, the document was crude and fantastical. It was a patchwork of plagiarized material, stolen from political satires and novels that had nothing to do with Jewish people. Yet, the lie took root. The reason for its success had little to do with its quality and everything to do with its utility. For the Russian secret police, who likely commissioned it, the document served to discredit revolutionary movements by linking them to a foreign conspiracy. It also redirected popular anger away from the failing Tsarist regime and toward a convenient scapegoat. The lie wasn't designed to be believed by intellectuals. It was designed to be felt by the masses. It offered a simple, emotionally satisfying answer to the question: why is our world in turmoil? The power of the Protocols was its incredible adaptability. After the Russian Revolution, white Russian exiles brought the text to the West. Here, it found a new audience, reeling from the trauma of the First World War and terrified by the rise of communism. For them, the Protocols explained everything. It wasn't complex economics or political failures that caused their suffering. It was a secret cabal. This is the first key to a lie's survival. It must be a story that people already want to believe. It reassures our beliefs and brings order to the chaos. Evidence to the contrary becomes irrelevant because the lie offers something more valuable than truth: psychological comfort. In 1921, the Times of London exposed the Protocols as a poorly copied fake, tracing its origins back to the original sources. Logically, this should have been the end. But it wasn't. The lie had already escaped the confines of evidence. This reveals a critical, often overlooked factor in how information spreads: the power of distribution networks. Once the Protocols were translated into dozens of languages, they were no longer a single text, but a global phenomenon. Each group that adopted it infused it with their own local anxieties. Henry Ford, an industrialist in America who was really skeptical of finance and modern culture, funded the printing of 500,000 copies. In Germany, it became a foundational text for the Nazi Party, providing a pseudo-intellectual justification for their anti-Semitism. The lie survived not because it was convincing, but because it had powerful sponsors. Its dissemination was driven by money, political ambition, and institutional support. The evidence debunking it, meanwhile, was confined to newspaper columns and academic journals. The truth had a limited budget and a poor distribution strategy. A lie, backed by power and resources, can easily drown out a fact whispered from the sidelines. It thrives in information ecosystems where emotional resonance travels faster and further than critical analysis. The structure of the lie itself was also a key to its longevity. The Protocols are unfalsifiable. Because the conspiracy it describes is secret, any lack of evidence is explained away as proof of the conspirators' cunning. Any attempt to debunk it is framed as part of the conspiracy itself. This creates a closed logical loop from which there is no escape. The believer is immunized against any and all contradictory facts. This psychological mechanism, known today as confirmation bias, is not a historical relic. We see it in the architecture of modern online communities, where algorithms create echo chambers that reinforce existing beliefs. The lie of the protocols survived because it was not just a statement. It was a complete worldview, a system of thought that explained away its own inconsistencies. It gave its believers a sense of possessing secret, superior knowledge, transforming them from passive observers into initiates in a grand struggle between good and evil. The patterns that allowed the protocols to endure are not confined to the past. They are timeless dynamics of human psychology and power. Think of corporate disinformation campaigns that create doubt about scientific consensus, or political movements that thrive on narratives of betrayal by a hidden elite. The mechanics are the same. First, identify a pre-existing anxiety or resentment. Second, create a simple, emotionally compelling story that assigns blame to a clear villain. Third, build a distribution network to spread this story far and wide, bypassing traditional gatekeepers of information. Finally, frame any counter-evidence as part of the conspiracy itself. The goal is not to win a debate, but to make debate impossible. It is to create a separate reality where belief is sustained not by evidence, but by a sense of shared identity and purpose. These narratives succeed because they aren't just information. They are tools for social cohesion and political mobilization. In the end, the story of why some lies outlive evidence is not really about the lies themselves. It is about us. It is about our deep-seated need for certainty in an uncertain world, our susceptibility to stories that confirm our biases, and the way power can shape the flow of information. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion was a crude fiction, easily disproven. But its survival for over a century shows that evidence is often no match for a lie that serves a powerful human need. The truth does not automatically prevail. It requires a shared commitment to critical thought, a healthy skepticism of simple answers to complex problems, and an ecosystem where facts can travel as fast and as far as falsehoods. History's most persistent lies are a mirror, reflecting the anxieties and vulnerabilities that exist within any society at any time. What other historical falsehoods do you think reveal something fundamental about the time and place they emerged? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read them all, and your insights help shape the discussions on this channel. If you find this way of looking at history valuable, consider subscribing for more. Thank you for watching.